everyone. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Teacher Casey, and today I am here with Allison. Hey, Allison.
Hi.
I don't know whether to say Teacher Allison or the author Allison. Like, what are we calling you these days?
I don't know. I have a few more hats than when we met last time, 2 years ago. I
Was
was
it two
looking back.
years?
Hmm.
Wow.
I know. Makes me
Super
feel really
fun.
old.
I like watching all your stuff on Instagram. It cracks me up.
Oh my gosh.
But we'll get more into where you can find her at later on. But just want to say welcome to Rebecca and anyone else that is here. Please say hi in the chat box. If you have questions for Allison or for me, you can put them in the chat box below as well. And also, if you have questions later on, put them in there, and I will see if I can get in touch with Allison and we can get an answer for you. So, all right. I am so excited. I saw you post your book coming out when it was still in pre-sale. So I was just so excited for you. But now it is up and running. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you transitioned from teaching to becoming a children's book author?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for
Oh,
purchasing the book.
you're
That was
welcome.
a lovely surprise when you sent me that message. Yeah, thank you. It's actually been kind of a really fun, serendipitous journey, honestly.
Yeah.
Not really anticipating all the support that I've been getting with it. So it's been really fun. But I am still teaching. As you can see, I've got still a very decorative background behind me. Um, so Casey and I know each other through out school classes, and that's
Mhm.
kind of what I've been doing the last 4 years now.
Oh, wow.
Um, and just being a writing teacher online and teaching kids how to write stories and come up with words and expressing their ideas and their the thoughts they have inside their brains, it was like,
Mhm.
well, maybe I should fulfill that dream that I have, because I've always kind of had it in the back of my mind since I've been teaching.
Yeah.
Um, it's something that I wanted to do, and it just kind of came about at some point last year, at the end of last year, maybe it was around October. Um, it's a funny backstory, which I can say now or we can share later. But
No, go for
um,
it.
so yeah, so I've had the idea to write children's books. There's just never been like an urgency to, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, but this is a very specific moment where this idea came about. So I personally, in my own life and style, am notorious for not being super punctual. And there's always a reason,
Mhm.
but it's just something that I've always kind of struggled with. And um, my husband does not. So he is a very punctual person. And
Oh,
as
that's
you can
tough.
probably guess, that doesn't always go well when we're trying to get places. And
Yes.
he wants to be 5 minutes early, and I'm like racing out the door the second before we need to leave. So the on running joke has been me being a dilly-dallier, which is just kind of a colloquial phrase for people who kind of take their time doing things, kind of just live in the
Mhm.
moment, and just will eventually get them to a place of not dilly-dallying and hurrying and rushing and stressing out. And so Allison, my first name, and then my nickname Allie, I got the nickname Dilly-Dally Allie. So I was actually called that before I came up with the
Oh.
book idea. And last year, my husband and I were at the airport on our way to a trip, and he was getting a little irritated by my dilly-dallying. And so I was like, so sorry, never late Nate. And like made a joke about that. I
Sounds
was
like a
like,
new book.
well, stay tuned. So yeah, so that kind of became the joke of like our nicknames. And then I made a joke at the airport. I was like, I just need to write a book about this and like about Dilly-Dally Alley so people will understand me a little better and not
Right.
be so upset. So yeah, that's kind of the origin story of this
Love
book
it.
and how it came about. And
Mhm.
here we are now with it. So it's been kind of fun.
That's awesome. I love the story behind it too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm considering a considered a dilly-dallyer. I'm ADHD, so it's not just dilly-dallying, it's like squirrel, squirrel.
Yeah, so there are some similarities to it for sure.
Right.
It's just, my hope in this book and writing it is for people who maybe do have this issue, to
Hmm.
kind of really reflect on like the deeper part of it, because as in writing this book actually helped me kind of discover maybe the reason on some of the times why I can get to the point where I'm like racing out the door. And a lot of it does have to do with my anxiety about things, like if I'm going
Mm,
somewhere new or somewhere where I have to be extra social because I'm an introvert. And just when I have a lot of things going on or feel very overwhelmed, I kind of get a little
right.
paralyzed by things. And then I
Yeah.
just don't want to move forward, and in that case causes me to be late, or I want to be distracted by something else. And so this character in the book kind of struggles with that as well, as she's getting ready for her first day of school, because that
Yeah.
brings about some anxiety for people,
Right.
for kids especially. And her kind of being distracted by these things, not just as a, oh, I'm just kind of quirky like that, but like really what is maybe the deeper part of it. It's like, well, I'm just really nervous to go to school, so maybe I'm going to
Yeah.
take longer time, making my bed and than I really need to, or like fix my hair 7 different ways, or things like
Right.
that kind of
So
get you to
cute.
a point where now you're like, oh no, I need to like hurry up and leave, and I haven't done all these things, and just adding more stress and anxiety to the situation. So
Right.
that's kind of what
Rebecca
exactly.
said, Allison, I love your background.
Thank you. They're
She said,
LED lights.
oh, fun. She said, I am always late too. I blame my kids, but often it is me.
I definitely will say parenthood has intensified the dilly-dally alley in me, just because there are so many other contributing factors. It's like if I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to get somewhere, I have to add in an extra 15 minutes if
Hmm.
my kids are involved in it.
Right.
So
If
yeah,
I
so that's definitely
have
part of it.
lots to do, I can get lots of stuff done. If I have one or two things to do, I seem to not get them done.
Yes, that also is a part of it. Just
Oh,
feeling
no.
kind of stuck in like, okay, let me drag this out because I have enough time. But then
Right.
I get to a point I'm like, oh no, now I don't have enough time.
Yeah. I'm a checklist. Give me a checklist and I can
Hmm.
bang stuff out. If I don't, I'm like, where am I starting?
Oh yeah, my phone to-do list is crazy right now because we have so many things going on here that I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get that paralyzed feeling, but I need to just keep looking at the list and see what the next thing is so I don't
Yeah.
dilly-dally.
So, how has your experience as a teacher shaped the way you write for children?
So as you already know, I'm a writing teacher on
Hmm.
Outschool, and I do a story writing class, but I also do a poetry writing class. And
Okay.
so a lot of the story elements that I teach and the strategies to build a good story have kind of just become ingrained in me now because I've been teaching it for 4 years online, 7
Hmm.
in the classroom. And when I started writing this story, it somehow came out in verse. And so then I was like, well, that's fun because
Yeah.
rhyming is hard. And I also teach a poetry class. So there are some of those components. And I do appreciate the challenge of
Hmm.
poetry writing and really being able to be very specific and choice with your words.
Right.
Um, and so when this became a rhyming book, I was like, okay, well, I guess we're doing rhyming. And being a teacher and knowing like childhood development and learning development and how kids can be better at reading if they are reading
Mhm.
something that rhymes, because then they're kind of trying to think through like maybe what this word could be because it needs to rhyme with this other word from the other
Right.
verse because there's that rhyme scheme there. So that was kind of part of it, plus throwing in some figurative language. I know you have the book, so you saw at the
Yeah.
back of it.
Can
There's
I show the
sure, yeah. So
I really
there's
like that because I've heard these words before, but I
yeah,
never remember them. So I can show this page.
yeah. So the
Okay.
literary devices I put in the back there, because I use them in this
Yeah.
book because it's written in verse. So there's onomatopoeias, there's similes, there's alliteration.
Mhm.
And so being able to apply what the kids reading when they're reading this as a storybook, they can now use as a learning tool. And again, that's just the teacher in me. I want to make
Right.
this practical application to this, entertaining story. So yeah, so I have that in there, and because, in the teacher in me has to make it
Right. I
meaningful.
love when books have things in the back like this because
Mm-hmm,
I feel like as a teacher, I can use it. She also has a page with questions on it. So I
mm-hmm.
feel like as a teacher, I can ask questions about it, or as a grandma, because now I can read to my grandbaby.
Yeah,
But he's not ready for questions yet.
that's okay.
But I feel like you can use them in the classroom. You can use them in
Mm-hmm,
your homeschool. You don't have to come up with everything. But I will say that I remembered onomatopoeia from when I was a kid because the word was fun.
right.
But when I looked at alliteration, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. And so I was able to go back in the book and I was
Exactly.
like, oh yeah.
Learning for all ages, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. And the
Yeah, I'll
vocabulary
admit
too
it.
is helpful with, early readers or ESL learners,
Hmm.
having that vocabulary. Because some of the words are in there are a little bit higher, the
Yeah,
vocabulary. And so being able to kind of have that glossary in the back of the terms is helpful as
yeah.
well.
Rebecca said, I have to give my kids a checklist so they can help me. Oh, good. Great teaching tool. Yeah, it is. Rebecca's also a teacher. You probably know her on Outschool and everything,
Mhm.
but I don't know if you know the name, but okay, so oh wow. I have notes right here, guys. So I'm trying to stick with my notes, but as you know, I jump around. I can't help it. But so you've worked with students for over a decade. What lessons from teaching have influenced the characters and themes in your book? It's kind of a tricky question.
I mean, I think just the social emotional skills, I think as a teacher is just another part of our curriculum. Being online
Mhm.
or in the classroom, you're not just teaching academics, you're teaching social skills, you're
Yeah.
teaching how to manage emotions, you're helping with regulation and, processing. It's a lot for a kid, and
Hmm.
just beyond teaching them math and reading and science, you're
Yeah.
wanting to help them and benefit them overall as a person, to where when they grow up to be adults, they're beneficial citizens to society. It's always kind
Right.
of been my mission statement from day one as a teacher. Like, my goal is to just help foster that in the younger generation, to where we have adults that are, you know, socially adept and they're emotionally balanced, and, have the ability to manage themselves. And
Yeah.
so part of writing this book wasn't just, a silly story about a girl being late, but just really, you know, helping kids to understand that, if this is something you struggle with, or in, books to come, the certain struggles that the characters go through, like that, it's
Hmm.
okay, that you don't have to change fully who you are. You can just be a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the message in Dilly-Dally Allie. It's like, you don't, like, it's not a bad or a wrong thing that you dilly-dally, or that can lose track of time.
Right.
But that you can work on it, and that you
Hmm.
can rely on others to help you as well. I think um just the very independent society that we live in is like, oh, I got to fix myself by myself. And, if I'm not perfect for others, then I'm not able to do anything. And in the book, she relies on her family to help her out. Like, her mom makes her lunch, her brother
Hmm.
feeds the dog, her dad gives her the advice, and just showing that, like, that it's okay. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to try and change who you are completely, and you don't have to do it alone. That there's community and people around you, um and that you are still good the way that you are, but that also you can see, well, how can I still be a better version every day? And
Right.
so kind of goes a little bit deeper into the social emotional components of it.
Yeah. It's super cute. I never thought about all the stuff that goes into writing because it's never been my thing. Like, and then I've been interviewing authors lately, and I'm like, oh, I never thought about that actually going to the book. I just thought you just write whatever's in your brain, you know?
I mean, you can
You
if you
can.
want. I mean, it's just up to you on the message you're trying to communicate to the world,
Right.
and if you want it to be a certain way or not.
Yeah.
It's
And
your
I love
thing.
it. I love it. So, what was the most enjoyable part of writing Dilly-Dally Allie?
I think all the parts were enjoyable and all the parts were challenging at the same time.
Hmm,
Because it was just a new thing. I mean,
right,
writing isn't like super new, and writing poetry style isn't that unfamiliar either. But really being particular with it, and being, that revision process of like over and over, okay, this is how I want it to sound. This is how I want it to sound. Okay, no, I don't. Now
right.
I'm going to change it. So that part of it was challenging, but it was enjoyable because it's like I'm creating this piece of work,
Yeah,
and then just learning the whole process of self-publishing is just, oh, that's a whole thing in itself. And just
yeah,
doing all the research and wanting to, come up with a plan that's going to be the best for me. And there's so many options and so many other people who have advice, but, of course, you want you to pay them for it. And so just kind of
right.
trying to navigate my resources and how best to make this process the best that it can be for me. And so I would say that it's all been enjoyable, but at the same time, equally challenging.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
there any surprises or anything that came up, either writing the book or publishing, that you're like, oh, didn't know that, didn't know that was going to happen, or
I mean, I think just, I don't know. I think I didn't go into it with any like full expectation. I think
hmm,
separating expectation from hope or dream, and saying, well, this is what I would like for it to happen. So how do I get there? What's the next step in it? Then just saying like, well, this is what I want it to be, and then like being disappointed by it.
right.
I've really had to learn, especially even starting on Outschool, kind of that process of just separating those two and being like, okay, if this
Yeah.
is where it ends up going, great. If not, it's okay, because this is just kind of a fun thing to do and figure
Yeah.
out and discover. So it's been a fun learning process. So hopefully
Right.
no big disappointments along the way. Yeah.
I would think you'd have to be pretty flexible too, like timeline for things. Or I know I had an author, her first book on here recently, and she was talking about time management was one of her toughest things, but they had to learn to be flexible and
Yeah. At the
yeah.
end of the day, I think I was and still am my biggest critic. And
Hmm,
I would get in these kind of like stressed modes of like, oh my gosh, like I need to get this done, or I need to figure this out, or like, is this the right thing to do? And then a few days would go by and be like, wait a minute, like, why am I stressing about this? Like, I'm not working for a company that has a boss that expects me to do these things. Like,
right,
I am the only one putting this pressure on myself. And so I can in myself remove that pressure because it's
right.
not that big of a deal. So
Yes.
it was kind of a roller coaster through it all, but
Hmm,
I think just kind of keeping in mind, like, hey, it'll get done when it gets done. Once a book is published, it's out in the world. So whether
yeah,
you're trying to stick to like these time crunches or not, like at the end of the day, I'd rather have a good product than like a rushed one because I needed it done at a certain time or something like
yeah.
that. So that's kind
So
of been the
can
goal.
we expect to see more books in the future featuring new characters, different challenges? What do you
Yeah, well, I kind of already gave it away a little bit at the beginning. But
think?
yeah, so the core idea behind all of this was my counterpart and
Hmm.
husband of 11 years,
Uh-huh.
never late Nate in his punctuality. So that will be book two, and my
Fun.
illustrator and I are beginning that process. So hopefully within the year we'll be able to have the counterpart to Dilly-Dally Allie, and then people can
Yes.
decide whether they are a Dilly-Dally Allie or they are a never late Nate.
Cute.
Um, yeah, so that's goal one. And then I have some other characters who kind of go together as sets that kind of hit both ends of these personality spectrums. Just again to kind of give awareness to people or kids, like, hey, maybe you fall on this side, more on this side of the camp, or you fall on
Yeah.
this side of the camp. And if you're on the extreme sides, like that's okay. Like, how can you be better at those things to kind of move more towards the middle? So I have these sets of characters that will be coming out together, and they all have their fun, quirky rhyming names.
Yeah.
So
So you mentioned your illustrator.
I did. My favorite part of this whole process.
Oh,
So my
I can
illustrator,
same. Are you gonna try to have the same one?
yes. So my illustrator, she is actually a former OutSchool learner of mine. So back when I started OutSchool in 2020, she was one of my one-on-one tutoring kids. And so I was teaching her writing lessons. And just through getting to know her, she told me she did art and she could draw really well.
She's great.
So when I was developing my creative writing class, I just asked her to do the drawings for my example story. And so I commissioned her for like 5 pictures or something, and they turned out really good. And she was like in 5th or 6th grade at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, thanks. Didn't think anything of it. And then when I started on this book journey and trying to think of people I knew who could draw, for some reason she came to mind. And so I reached out and she was on board with it. And she sent me the mock-up of Allie. And I was like, yes, this
Yes.
is it. Like
It is so
she
cute.
cannot look any other way. Like this is
Yeah.
who she is. So she did an amazing job. She's 14 now. She's a freshman in high
And I can
school.
show her, right? Because it's in the book.
Yeah. And she's
Okay.
like the coolest kid like
Yeah.
you'll ever meet. Like she's so trendy and fun and cool. And she lives in California. So I've actually never met her face to face because we've always
Yeah.
just worked online. So my plan for next summer is to go out and visit, and
Oh,
her
wow.
and I do some book tours together or something.
Oh, so cool.
But yeah.
You guys, you're gonna love her illustrations in here too. I don't can't show them all, but they're super cute. And
Yeah,
I can
she did a great
see
job.
I can see Allie.
Yeah, the resemblance, yes,
Hair.
a little bit. Uh-huh.
So cute. Okay, let's see. Um, you've mentioned, oh, so this was in one of your bios about memes, sending memes and stuff.
Oh
Did
yeah.
if you had to describe your journey to becoming an author using a meme, which one would it be?
Okay, so I thought long and hard about this question, and I honestly could not think of anything
I
to say
couldn't
for
think of
this.
anything.
But I just love the idea of being able to connect with people through like similar senses of humor. And
Mhm.
so I have friends who like religiously send me memes, and
Yeah.
we just send reels and TikToks and all the things back and forth to each other, because for me it's a connection. It's
Mhm.
knowing that I understand you, you understand me, and we
Yeah.
can laugh about this commonality that we have, or this understood perception of the world that we have.
Yeah.
And I think that's just such a valuable thing for me personally, is just to be able to connect with somebody
Mhm.
through our sense of humor, or just through the way the world thinks and how it
Yeah.
relates to us. And so, yeah, it's something so silly, but I think it has a little bit deeper meaning
Mhm.
for me of just feeling connected to people
Yeah.
that way. So, I probably sent many a memes related to this
Right.
author process.
Everyone knows I have like a little naughty pit bull. She's been extra naughty today, but so I get memes all about pit bulls and like,
Mhm.
all the ones that are like, how do you know you have a bully?
Yeah, see, and
And
you
like,
feel so connected to that person
I'm
when
like,
they
oh,
share it
they
with
know
you.
me. They know my dog.
Exactly. I love that. I love it so much.
So funny. Yeah, I was like, oh, this will be a fun question. I cheat, guys. I want to totally tell you up front. I like write some information about the person I'm interviewing, and I use Chat GPT to help me with questions. So
Oh,
I read
nice.
that one. I was like, oh, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
Some I make up, but some I don't.
Oh, they're
So
great questions. No.
you're right. I always tell on myself too. As someone who loves puzzles and yoga,
I do.
do these hobbies help you as a writer? I could see
Um,
that
I
helping.
think the like systematic, like accomplishing a goal with structure that is
Mhm.
puzzle make like putting together puzzle
Yeah.
assembling. um, I think there's something in my brain that just like loves doing that. And I actually was in a puzzle competition a few months ago
Really?
at my
That's
local
fun.
library. My friend and I joined it. Hindsight, we should have come with a team, so because we were just like added to this group, and it wasn't top tier team.
Right.
So we did not, I think we got like 3rd place. So
Okay.
I mean, very
Still
low
fun.
standards at the public library free puzzle competition, but it was so like it was enthralling. I loved it.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I think just kind of the way that my brain goes when it comes to that, I think just kind of translate over to writing. And then the yoga part is more just for like working out and having a
Hmm.
discipline in being healthy and staying mentally and physically in shape. So
So Rebecca said, so cool to use your student as the illustrator. Yeah, I thought that
yeah.
was awesome too. Yoga is not my thing. I do it because I need to do it and I need to stretch. I have not really found the love of yoga.
Well, I do kind of like an intense yoga. It's more of like a hit workout
I was gonna say
yoga.
I would rather do hit workouts than
Mhm.
a vinyasa because I'm like,
Yeah, no. See, when I say yoga, I'm like, we're like burning calories. It's hot yoga.
yeah.
You're getting a
Oh,
full workout in. Like that's the kind of yoga that I like.
yeah.
The slow kind, not so much.
Yeah. My friend used to take me to hot yoga. Oh man. We had so much fun. We would get in trouble. We're too giggly though together. So we had to have like an instructor that didn't mind that so much. So
Well, it's a fun workout if you have
yeah.
a friend.
Yeah, it was great. What advice would you give to aspiring authors or even students interested in writing their own stories?
I would say just do it. I'm sure that's a very cliche answer.
Yeah, just get
But
started.
yeah, um, I think the that I say this to writers all the time when I teach them, like especially like struggling ones who come for me for tutoring. But there's just so many parts to writing that can make it feel overwhelming and create a lot of barriers for you. So you have the coming up with the ideas, the organization
Hmm.
of the ideas, the formulating the ideas, the sentence structure, the grammar, the syntax, like even like the penmanship or the typing skills, right? All of those
Yeah.
things, if you're not good at one of those, it could keep you from doing the other things. And so
Hmm.
I think just identifying what your strengths are when it comes to writing and what your weaknesses are and accommodating to those weaknesses so that you can really enhance the strength. So if you're really good at coming up with these creative, like right now I'm working with a learner one-on-one who is writing novels and we're in book 2 of her novel series and we're going through and we're editing it and we're enhancing it, doing all the things together. And her world that she has built for these characters, she's 12 years old and her books read like young adult
Yeah.
fiction, like already like so advanced. And she has that creativity. She also has all the other skills. She's a great writer. But
Yeah.
if you have that but you're like, I don't know how to write the sentences, or like, oh, I'm bad at typing, like figure
Yeah.
out ways to make it to where you can just really push through on those strengths and
Hmm.
get around other people, or find accommodating tools like voice to text if you're not good
Yeah.
with the typing or the writing, or if you need help with the ideas, like asking friends. Or I've even thought about this before, like writing down my dreams. Like I have the most vivid dreams, like you can imagine, are just like movie productions when I wake up, like it could get
Right.
Oscars or whatever.
Like exhausted
And I'm
after
like, I
having
need
those
to write
dreams.
these down. Like these are great ideas for stories, but then I wake up and
Uh-huh.
I'm too tired and I don't. But like just finding little things like that that can
Yeah.
help you along the way to where like cumulatively you'll be able to create this work that you're proud of and
Yeah.
not feel hindered by maybe some of the barriers you have with the things you're not as good at.
I was
Makes
talking to
sense.
somebody yesterday. My best ideas come from when I am walking. So I walk a few
Mhm.
miles every day. I
Yeah,
don't bring a pencil and paper. And so sometimes I have to use my phone to put
exactly.
ideas down.
And
And
you've
sometimes I'm like,
recognized that resource and now you use it and it's to your advantage. So just kind of being mindful of, where your strengths are and how you can accommodate to the weaknesses and providing that for yourself. And that's awesome.
yeah, there are resources out there.
Mhm.
All right, let's see. So do you have any other future plans as an author? Like you mentioned book signings. Are you hoping to do some or do you have any coming
So I'm
up?
actually doing one tomorrow that
Oh,
was
fun.
planned like this week. My friend, her son's in second grade at a school district in town. And she reached out to his teacher and they're like, yeah, have him come read the book. And
Oh,
so I'll be going tomorrow to the 3 second grade classes. There'll be about 50 students. And then I'll read the story. I'll probably go through the discussion questions. I have, I'll show you my bookmarks and my stickers that I
oh,
got a
cute.
little bit of merch already. So I'll give everyone one of the bookmarks
Oh, I
and
love
then
it.
some stickers for the teachers, and I'll give them a free copy of the book for their
Yeah.
class library. So that'll be my first event.
Oh,
So yeah, so the tomorrow.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I still have a whole box of books from teacher signings that came to our school and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Oh, I miss it. When I have to tell you guys, when I was reading her book to my grandbaby, we were at the ice cream shop. All of a sudden, I had a huge audience with some little bit bigger kids. So my grandbaby, he's only 2, so he was just kind of looking at the pictures and watching me. But there was one little boy right in front of me, and every time I rhymed a word, he would like jump up and get so excited.
Oh, so
It was
cute.
so cute. I have no idea where these kids came from. They showed up at the ice cream shop. Next thing I knew, I had like a little
Oh my
kindergarten class in front
I'll
of
have to
me.
send you some bookmarks so you can pass them out next time.
It was so cute, but it brought me back to my classroom. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I love it.
I know. I miss that's the part of the in-person teaching that I miss a lot, just being around the kids. Like I'll try and volunteer at my kids' schools just so I can like
Yeah.
interact with the kids. So tomorrow should be fun and hopefully,
Yeah.
have a few more of these kind of just like the practice round as I
Hmm.
start all of this. Like I was like, let's not like have a whole school assembly here, like just a small little thing. And she was like, okay, we'll do all the second grade classes. And I was like, okay.
How many is
Yeah, thankfully
that?
only like 50 kids, but still
Wow.
I was just wanting to maybe do one class, but
Mhm.
it'll be fine. I started stressing out about it and then I was like, wait a minute, I used to teach. Like I
Yeah.
know how to talk to kids. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like
You're good. You're
I'll be
good.
good. But yeah, hopefully more of those to come and then I'll maybe get brave at some point and go to the local bookstore and see if they'll put it on the shelves and
Yes,
things like
that's
that.
the 2 authors I've had on. It's a mom and a daughter,
Mhm.
and they've been doing all kinds of book signings. They've got their books in some local places. So
Yeah.
yeah, let us know how it's turning out.
Thanks.
Keep
We'll
us
see.
posted.
Yeah.
So where can readers and parents connect with you online to learn more about your book and your books to come and your
Mm-hmm.
writing classes too? Because
Mm-hmm.
I took a sneak peek at those. I have them up. Can I?
Sure,
Like,
if you want. Yeah, I have a website, AlisonSloanWriting.com, and you can purchase the book directly through there. I actually set all that up last night, so hopefully it works.
oops, do I have the wrong
Um,
one?
no,
Nope.
that's right. So yeah, so you can purchase the book through there. It's actually cheaper than if you go through Amazon,
Oh,
if you
okay.
buy it direct. The pre-order you can pre-order the hardback on my website because those haven't come in yet. But if you want the hardback now, you can order it through Amazon.
Yeah.
Paperbacks are available on either Amazon or through the website. And then
Okay.
there's that little tab for the writing classes you can check out.
And there's an Amazon link below the video, below this video, and also her link is below this video to her website. And I wanted to show the writing classes, if you
Yeah,
don't
sure.
mind. So, ages?
Yeah, so kind of a large range just because some of the classes appeal more to like the younger kids and
Yeah.
some to the older. And it just kind of depends on the level of the learner as well. If you have a 12-year-old that maybe is a little below grade level, needs some extra help writing, or if you have a very advanced 8-year-old who really wants to enhance their stories or their essay writing, things like that, you can kind of check out and see all the
Yeah.
options that are available there.
I thought this was great. I loved reading about your classes and things. I was like, I think I need some adult ones.
I know all those out school classes. I'm like, that would be so fun to do as an adult. We're not
Yeah,
allowed to.
right. They do have some. I forgot where the place is. There is a sister company, right? To Outschool that has adult
I don't know
ones.
if there's a sister one, but Udemy is a website that's kind of similar, but it's for adult. It's like adult online courses.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember. We'll have to look it up sometime, but let me stop this sharing. So that's it. Do you have anything else you want to let us know or anything I forgot to ask?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think
I
so.
mean, we've just been chatting, so
I know this is like one of the easier interviews when I can just chat and I'm comfortable.
yeah.
And Rebecca, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. And anyone who joins us for the replay later, thanks guys for coming. And don't forget to check out Allison's book, Dilly-Dally Allie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Come
Thank you.
back anytime when you got your new book and everything. Come tell us
Oh,
about
I
it.
will.
All right.
Definitely.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Rebecca. She said, sure. Awesome. All right, guys, having trouble getting out of this today, but I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for coming and have an amazing day. Goodbye, everybody. This is funny because there is a box that's blocking me from getting out of this. So this is funny. I can't end it.